Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. We've got a lot to go through today in terms of transfers. An incredible, extreme transfer limit that UEFA have imposed on us once again. And we're going to talk about, once again, the difficulties in acting in transfer windows, the budget that we have, the defender list that we've created. But then you look at the budget and you're like, how on earth can this list be even looked at if then you compare it with the budget that we have? And yeah, all of these, these constant delays, the importance in these scenarios of increasing the youth setup and giving more value to it. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Good evening, everybody, once again. And yeah, if you're ready, smash a like, subscribe if you are new. And yeah, right. I mean, let's talk about the limits. As you can read from today's title, we've got an extreme transfer limit imposed on us. I look at this and I ask myself two questions. I ask myself a lot of questions, but the main questions that I ask myself are, how on earth can we even buy somebody if that's your budget? And the second question is, why does it feel like we are the only ones who get targeted by FFP? And these two questions have got a multiverse of perspectives, because it cannot be possible, if I'm a Roma fan, that for 2/3 years now, it's like entering a transfer window for me is like a suicide. And then you look at all the teams around you, and even though they are affected by FFP, they seem to manage buying players and all of that. And I just can't understand this. I will never understand why we're so threatened by it. And yeah, the other thing is, I mean, there's been this rumor launched this morning that Roma have a 1.5 million euro transfer budget. I mean, 1.5 million. What do you do with 1.5 million? If that's your budget, then really there is no need for us to get in the transfer window. Well, let's just play with Kumbula as a starter, because realistically speaking, with 1.5 million on the transfer window, what on earth can we get? And most importantly, knowing and seeing our past, who are we going to get? I mean, we struggled getting players with 20 million. I just can't imagine who we'll get with that transfer budget. Why is it that low? How come it's that low? That's like, yeah, it feels like a video game. It feels like you've lost all of your lives, your budget has decreased, and you can't proceed to the next level. It doesn't feel real. We're in 2024. Football's based around money, and you're telling me that we've got 2 million to spend in the January window. It makes no sense to me. I would love to better understand this reality of financial fair play. I would love why UEFA hates us, and why it feels like we're the only ones who get targeted by this. So yeah, I mean, look, the answer is very easy. To increase that budget, you have to sell. And it's very easy. If we don't sell players in this January window, I just can't expect us buying anyone. So I'm expecting some players to leave. And it's not necessarily me wanting them to leave, but it just needs to be like that. What can we realistically and possibly do with 1.5 million euros in the transfer window? You can't do anything. So you have to sell. If I had to choose, who do I sell? I sell Spinazzola. Yes, okay. But how much will that budget increase by selling Spinazzola? So I would sell him. Another player that I would sell is, not sell because he's not officially our player, ending Renato Sanchez's loan, avoid paying his wages, find an agreement with PSG to end his loan. Already, if we sell Spinazzola and end Renato Sanchez's loan, maybe the budget increases a bit. I think what we're looking at is a transfer budget of 5 million. Because we've got 1.5 million available, Let's say we sell Spinazzola for 3 million. We're not going to get more money than 3 million. We're not. We're not. He's been playing terribly and his contract expires in 5 months. Why would anybody even dare to pay more than 3 million for Spinazzola? So 1.5 million, add 3 million, that's 4.5. If we can end Renato Sanchez's loan, avoid paying his wages, we could get 500k from it, and maybe we can get 5 million from this transfer window. Again, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but it's better than 1.5 million, I guess. It's better than it is better than 1.5 million. So yeah. But I really do ask myself why is it only us? It can't be possible. I mean part of me thinks that there is something that the Fredkins signed which they have to respect. And then I have a feeling that if we respect this neatly, then we won't be targeted for the next 10 years. It's the only possible scenario to this. I think the reason why is yeah, because you see, I think another thing is not in the Europa League final. You can't really use an as example of this. You could definitely use the Europa League final as an example of this exacerbating. But one of the reasons why, one of the again, it's a base reason. It's not. It really is a secondary reason. I don't think it's an important reason. But one of the reasons why I think UEFA hates us is definitely, I think, because of the relationship with referees, with Jose. So I think we're in a position where if we don't respect the rules, these guys are really gonna lynch our heads because our agenda with them is terrible. So we're kind of forced to respect their rules on the brink of the glass because otherwise we're gonna see a situation where they are gonna batter us. So that's my justification. I think we've signed this. I think the Fredkins they became presidents of owners of Roma and they signed this agreement with UEFA going right. Okay, I will respect your rules as much as I can to the brink of everything for these next 2/3 years. But then after I respect these rules, you have to let me free for 10 years. So again, in the long term, this will definitely be a great thing because in the long term, I think we'll draw a lot of positives from this because the more we respect these rules now, the more we will kind of be free in the future and in the long term. In the short term, though, it's terrible. And in the short term of getting Champions League football, these things are really affecting us. They really are. You look at Atalanta, 2nd of January, they already have a defender. Milan, Napoli today, great transfer day from Napoli. Apparently, in 24 hours, they ended Mazzocchi from Salernitana and Samardzic, great player from Udinese. So you look at all of these teams around us and you're jealous because you look at how fast they move in the transfer window without obstacles. And then it's us. We just can't do much. In terms of defender list, as far as I'm aware, the defender list is always the same. We've gathered a lot of names. Chaloba, again. Dyer apparently could happen, especially if the Genoa guy... What's his name again? I keep forgetting his name. The Dragozin. If Dragozin goes to Spurs, which I think is going to happen according to a lot of big sources, then that obviously means that they could open up for a loan to let Eric Dyer go. Chaloba, Dyer, Kerrer, not happening as he's gone to Monaco. Yeah, again, I think we have to understand that it's not going to be a good signing. It's not going to be a good signing because it just can't be a good signing. We can't get a good player if we only have 1.5 million euros in the transfer budget. So no matter no matter who the defender will be, it's not going to be a good signing. Because it realistically can't be a good signing. It's most probably going to be a scrap. Because if that's the budget, then you really are forced to get players who other teams don't want. And to be honest with you, I'm at that stage where I'm too used to this. I mean, we don't sign a good player. If you remove Lukaku, we don't sign a good player since Jose's first season with Tammy Abraham. If we hadn't signed Lukaku this summer, our last good player that we signed and that Pinto signed was in 2021. The amount of useless players is incredible. I look at past January transfer windows and they weren't bad. I think we've always been good in January windows. I think Pinto has been good in January windows. Pinto hasn't been good in summer windows recently, but in January windows, he's always pulled off that player, which has always come handy. You know, in Jose's first season, he pulled Sergio Oliveira. Sergio Oliveira, in my opinion, was a great signing. I would get Sergio Oliveira back right now. He was fit. He gave his best in every single game. We won a trophy with him. He was a great signing. Cheap, loan, that's the type of signing we need. Second, in Thiago Pinto's second year with Jose, in January, we got Llorente. That was a good signing. That's exactly the signing we need in this January window. Somebody who's a scrap from a team who aren't in a position to ask a lot of money, but then who is a scrap that we can reuse in a good way. Because there's a difference between scraps who are done and scraps which don't work well in a team, but can work really well in other teams. And I don't remember one game, apart from that Servette game away, in 2 seasons, I don't remember one game that Llorente played badly. The only 2 games that Llorente played badly under Mourinho were that Servette game and that Juventus game this Saturday. Other than that, Llorente has been a class signing, and that's the signing we need. Or another thing that we could try and do is loan, and then try and extend the loan in the summer if he's playing well. We have to be creative. That is the solution to this. We have to be creative. We have to be creative in these scenarios. We have to we have to pull out something that nobody expects. We have to study a formula which won't kind of damage our finances, I guess, but at the same time will benefit us. So that's definitely all we need to try and do. Creativeness. We gotta pull something. Pinto, we gotta pull something, mate. Goal. Milan have scored against Cagliari. Luka Jovic, he's on great form. He's on great form. Milan leading in the Coppa Italia against Cagliari after 29 minutes. He's on great form. He's Milan's best player at time of speaking. Milan's winning. I mean, if you look at the Coppa Italia, schedule, kind of layout, you'd actually want Milan to win. You'd want Milan to win because if Milan doesn't win, and if Milan gets thrown out, then I believe Juventus have to play against Frosinone, which they're going to win, and then against Cagliari. So I'd kind of want Milan to go through in this game, because if Milan get thrown out somehow, then Juventus are guaranteed in that final. Because again, Juventus are solid and they'd have to play 2 terrible teams. So yeah, it's good that Milan are winning in my opinion. Blatantly hating on Jose and Roma somehow, it's ridiculous. 1.5, and that's barely enough to pay for a 6-month loan fee for an average player. I just don't understand why it's that low. I just don't. Selling Spina is the last option in Saudi. But again, I don't think they would give you a lot of money. yes, there's the circulation of money in the Saudi league is vast, but again, they're not dumb. They would offer a lot of money for a player who would increase the sponsorships in the Saudi league, increase the attraction. They're not dumb. They wouldn't spend a lot of money on signing Spinazzola because realistically speaking, what is it going to bring to their vision of making the Saudi league the best league in the world? It's going to bring nothing. For a player who's been terrible, for a player who has never been the same after the injury, for a player who's got a contract running out in 6 months, why would the Saudis offer more than 3 million? So I think it won't happen even if you sell them in. I think the maximum you can get is 3 million from Spinazzola. It would be impossible to get more. It really would. Vigna is another player which we could sell. Apparently we've asked 10 million to sign Vigna. If Pinto pulls 10 million, I mean it would still be a loss because we paid 40 million to sign him. But if we can get 10 million from Vigna, then we could get a good defender in January. Again, I just don't know who would be dumb enough to spend 10 million on Vigna. But yeah. Hopefully we can get that 10 million from Vigna and 7 million for Spina. That would be great. The more we increase the transfer budget in January, the better. Mourinho needs to switch up tactically to playing with 4 defenders and no wingers. Rather work with what we have than rely on gamble transfers, not even mentioning lack of money. Look, mate, you have a good point. I fully agree on that. If I need to spend 1.5 million in the transfer window, then I would rather promote my young defender in my youth setup. I would. 100%. Because, as I just said, realistically, what are you going to get with 1.5 million in the market? You're not going to get anything. You're probably going to get a player who's even more useless than Renato Sanchez. So, just increase that youth setup. Just do it. The good thing that we could at least be happy for is that Paredes is getting better and Bove too slowly morphing into an experienced state. But the defense in Rui is terrible, says Elias. Hey Simo, I'm thinking about going with my dad to a trip to Rome and see Roma versus Feyenoord and Roma versus Torino. The problem is that my country is in war, so the flight tickets will cost a lot. Should I go? Depends on you, mate. I can't decide for you. Depends how much. It would definitely be a great experience, especially if you've never been. Great city. You picked 2 great games, especially the first one. So, yeah, I mean, I can only say it's going to be a great experience, but I can't decide your finances and all of that, bro. Can we buy Lukaku in the summer? That's something interesting that I'm going to get into in a second. Simon, if we are desperate, Dyer or Bonucci? Well, Bonucci ain't going to happen anymore. So I'd still go with Dyer. I just don't want Bonucci. If I had to pick, if I'm in a life or death situation to pick between Dyer and Bonucci, I would go with Dyer. But I would probably just promote my youth instead of choosing between one of the two. I really hope we can get Chalobah on loan. Chelsea and us with good relations can happen. Yeah, I think the only doubt that that Roma have is his fitness. And to be honest with you, I don't blame them. All we need right now is a player who's not fit. That's all we need. All we need to avoid is getting a player who will come and not guarantee you games. So yeah, Jose can manage scrap. Llorente was scrap before he molded him. That's not a bad point indeed. We need somebody to leave Sanchez Spina. We need free transfers. Simon, how on earth did we not get Bailey on a free, quick pace and very athletic? How did we miss on that? He's very injury prone. He's extremely injury prone. Simon, I think ownership doesn't want to risk selling players with the possibility of not making any purchases. Right. I'm gonna continue with comments in a second. I do want to speak about an important thing, which is the youth setup. More than ever, we're in a situation where we need to set up a great standard of youth setup. And we also need to stop selling these youth players. We need to change our mentality and philosophy around the youth, especially now that we're targeted by FFP, especially now that we have so many difficulties in signing players and increasing transfer budgets. We need to share double the attention that we've ever shared towards our youth academy. If this if this club and this owner is I've got nothing against this ownership. I've said it many times. I back them, support them. As of now, they've brought a lot of positives to this team. But by moving forward, another massive step that we need to do is creating a next gen under 23 team to place in the Serie C and slowly make its way to compete in Serie B's. And that's exactly why Juventus, or as much as we hate them, and as much as I just can't stand Juventus are the most serious club in Italy. Juventus have an under 23 next gen team that is currently playing in the Serie C and is basically destroying everybody and will slowly make its way in the Serie B. And I don't know how it works, but it could. That obviously it wouldn't go playing in the Serie A, because then if the team gets promoted, that their players would get in the first team. But that's what we need. You know, a youth team is not enough. We need to create a next gen. And that's exactly why there's a difference between a youth team and a next gen. You know, we have a great youth team, but Juventus's next gen is on another level. Look at the amount of players that Juventus have grown in the next gen. I mean, you look at Sule from Frosinone, you look at Caio Jorge from Frosinone, you look at Barrenechea from Frosinone, you look at Ilin Jr. These are all players that in the long term will start in a Juventus kit. A lot of our youth won't start because they are not experienced enough to play at high competitions and high intensity. That's why it's extremely important to create an under 23 next gen. And I think that's another massive step. That's another massive step moving forward. Yes, the objective right now is to create the stadium. I know that's the Fredkin's biggest priority, and that's always and will forever be their biggest priority. And I can only say one thing about the stadium. On Saturday, I was in Turin in that Juventus stadium. Oh boy, the difference that a stadium with no athletic track around it makes is unreal. In the Juventus stadium, wherever you sit, you can watch a good football game. And that's why it's the best stadium in Italy. Private stadiums. Imagine having that kind of a stadium for us. Yes, okay, traditional stadiums are good, but we need to move away from this traditionalist view, even to improve the system overall, the Serie system overall. We need to redo 19 out of 20 Serie stadiums need refurbishment. So there's a long way to go to bring this league back to where it belongs. It is currently in a well. It's deep down, delved in a terrible black hole. There is just so much improvement that needs to be made on the financial side, on the stadium and infrastructure side, on the transfer side, and all of that. So next step is yes, creating the stadium, but on the team side, it's creating an under 23 next gen, place it in the Serie C, and make it compete with Serie C teams. Let it make its way into the Serie B, and all about that. So that's the next step. It would be revolutionary. It would be revolutionary. I can guarantee you that a lot of those next gen Juventus players, Sule, Illing Jr. and all of that, I wouldn't say they would start, but a lot of those players would have a high chance of starting in our team today. So yeah, it makes a massive difference. Also, on the transfer side, it makes a massive difference, because those are players that if Juventus will forever sell, then they will make a lot of money for. Sule is playing phenomenally. He is the closest player to Paulo Dybala that Juventus have ever had. since Dybala left. So they will make a lot of profits. They will make a lot of. I mean, it's also very proud because if you grow these players and then they will start in your home team, in your sorry starting team. You see, it would be great. Also, as a matter of I'm proud of what I did. So yeah, as much as as we hate them, and as much as they've traced a massive part of corruption in this Italian league, Juventus are the smartest, most intelligent team in this league. They really are. You know, the others feel like they live in a prehistoric era. You know, other clubs feel like still roam around with dinosaurs. Juventus is over there in the sky, roaming out satellites around Mars. It really is. So that's another very big thing. And you know, the other thing is, we sell a lot of these young players. We need to keep them. If we don't keep them, you know how many regrets. Look at Frattesi. Look at Volpato. Fenagian. We sell a lot of these. If you're brave, you don't sell these teams. You these players. You keep them. You grow them. And I know that we sold them because we needed money, but I just hope that in the long term this FFP will stop because it is the ruin of this club. It's the ruin of us succeeding, in my opinion. So that's it. Let's read some comments. Where was I up to? Llorente's technical abilities and his composure makes us a good side in offensive transition from the back. Pinto is too slow, says Giulio. I think Juve is our side of. Oh yeah, they are. Oh yeah, they are. Juventus is on our side. Sorry, no then. Because Juventus are playing against Salernitana. Yeah, in fact we could face, if we beat Cremonese, we could face Lazio. In fact we are gonna face Lazio. And if we beat Lazio, we're gonna face Juventus. Ooh, that's a Coppa Italia schedule. That is a Coppa Italia schedule, they call it. That is a tough schedule. Cremonese, Lazio, Juventus. And then in the final, somebody like Milan, Fiorentina, or Bologna. Ooh, that's what you call a Coppa Italia. I don't think we'll win it. I don't think we'll win it because I've read this thing on Instagram that the last time Roma reached Coppa Italia final was in 2013. That just tells you that this team has embraced the mentality of snubbing this tournament. We've never cared about it for the past 11 years. Especially, in my opinion, with Mourinho, who this season will want to devote his entire body to win that Europa League. I think you need to make decisions. And I don't think winning the Coppa Italia is in Mourinho's biggest priorities, if I'm very honest with you. Especially how short our team is with injuries and difficulties in transfer windows. It seems like Mancini is the designated centre-back that pushes forward at times, but in my opinion, Llorente is better in the ball and should be the one to push. Get Karamitsis from the academy. Oh no, he's still a Roma player. I don't know why, but I remembered we sold Karamitsis. Simo, how did you come up with Simo out? That's a good question. I don't know. You know, it's one of those natural reflexes that just comes out randomly and just it's part of the routine that even if I want to stop it, I can't because I've done it so many times for the past 3 years that yeah, it's become like breathing. It's become something you can't control. How I came up with it, I don't know. When I was younger, I had this YouTube channel with one of my best friends, um, the ginger guy, which I filmed a video with on this channel, and we kind of ended each video going out. So I just kept that. Tradition, they said. Keep your roots. Simo needs to find a new barber. Oh, shut up, mate. Shut up, mate. It's that stage where, no, I'll tell you what. It's that stage where I cut my hair 2 weeks ago and I had a fade. So it's that stage where the fade is now gone and the hair looks shit. So the question is, do you let it grow or do you get the fade again? It's the problem with the fade. After 2 weeks, it looks shit. It really does. I want to see Jacques Costa on Wednesday. Let's see how he manages. I agree. I want to see Pizzilli as well. Somebody's saying to translate the last post from Mangiante or read it out. Right, so it basically says, all right, great. There we go. Great. He's basically saying that Chalobah can't happen at time of speaking because Chelsea have finished the slots of giving players on loan with Lukaku this summer to us. So it would only happen if a player comes back on loan to Chelsea in January. But this hypothesis apparently is not in their schedule. So Chalobah's not going to happen. There we go. We've narrowed it down. Have we narrowed it down? It feels like the more days go by, the more no's we get. So that's what Angelo Mangiante says. Jovic scored another one indeed. It's 2-0. His stupid obsession with the EL might cost him his contract renewal. Look, I kind of disagree. I kind of disagree because it's the human instinct. You got robbed a trophy in June. You want to win that. You know, Mourinho is a hero to Roma fans. Imagine one of those films where Spider-Man has a girlfriend, and at the end of the first Spider-Man movie, his girlfriend dies. In the sequel, in the second movie of Spider-Man, it's all about Spider-Man trying to take revenge on the guy who killed his girlfriend. And that's exactly why I think it's impossible for him to let Europa League go. He got robbed Europa League this summer. It was robbed. And only he knew, as well as us fans, how crazy it would have been for him to make this team lift to European trophies in 2 seasons. So he wants to. And again, I'll tell you one thing. If he does win it, it will be the most cold image that football has seen in past seasons. Imagine he wins that trophy and does his thingy position like he did against Juventus with Man United. That would be the coldest image, and that's what Mourinho is. Mourinho's philosophy is me against everybody. So it's impossible for him, and I've said in the first video of the year, I want to win that Europa League too. I just want to win it. There's just something about getting something back that has been stolen from you that will just never beat it. I mean, I agree though. Going all in on Europa League is a massive risk because it means that you can distract yourself once again from Champions League football, and look, it's a risk. We need Champions League football. Another reason why we can't spend much is because we're not playing in the Champions League. You know how much money and how much we would be saved if we played the Champions League in terms of finances. So that's another reason. We need to be playing Champions League football next season. So it's a risk. It's a risk, especially because Liverpool are in it. I mean, I watched that game yesterday, Liverpool against Newcastle. I was on that sofa, completely exhausted. I was feeling sick and all of that. And that game, you know what it means? You know what hypnotized mean? That game and the way Liverpool played in that game got me staying like that in front of that TV for 1 hour and a half. They played so well, so fluent. They look so good. The question is, are they going to snub it or not? They're in a title race. Will they care about Europa League or not? That's the question. But one thing is certain. If Liverpool decide, I want to win that Europa League, they're going to win that Europa League blindfolded. Because they are clearly better than anyone in that tournament. What is it with these stupid ass cars that make... They make more sound than the Vienna Orchestra concert at the end of the year. Bloody hell. So that's it. Other than Bobby, do you think our midfield is as good as it could be? No, because I don't think Paredes is as good as Matic. And I think Renato Sanchez is a scrap. So it's not good. I think we're in a stage where the attack is better than last season, but the midfield is worse than last season, and the defense is mixed because if Smalling had been there, I think it would have been better than last year. But Smalling isn't there, and it's worse than last year. So it's a bit of a hit or miss, to be honest. It really is. Sadly, Europa League will be much tougher this season. Even the final tie is tough. That is tough, indeed. It's more realistic to reach top 4 than win the Europa League this season. I agree. I'm trying to come back to the stadium for the first time in a year to watch the second leg against Feyenoord. That would be great. It's a great game. Big rivalry. Second leg. So if the comeback is needed, we will be there to assist it. That's the motto. Olympico magic. Sanchez return equals Azmoun plus Christensen on UEFA list for Europa League. Thank you for that information, Sylvie. Somebody is asking to speak about Lukaku, as I said before. I am going to speak about Lukaku, but in a future stream, because I think it fits in well. It's a long debate, and I don't want to drag this very much further. But it's definitely to do with the fact that the growth decree law has been abolished in the Italian league, which again is an example of the incompetence of the people who are behind this organization and these institutions. But so I'm going to speak about that, but in a later stream. Obviously, also another massive thing today, Azmoun, because Azmoun is going to the Asian Cup, but he's going after the Atalanta game. So we found the compromise with the Iran national team. He's staying here tomorrow. I mean, he's staying here for the Cremonese game and for the Atalanta game. And then he'll be off after the Atalanta game. That's not too bad. You can't say no to your own national team. It would be extremely disrespectful to your own country. So nobody can stop somebody from saying no. At least he can stay for us for a very important game tomorrow, yes, but the most important game, which is against Atalanta on Sunday. So that's also good. Sardar. By the way, it was his birthday yesterday. That story that he posted of Dybala and his girlfriend Oriana dancing. Sardar's getting into that sneaky little flirty with Dybala's girlfriend. I'm only joking. Simon, did you go to the Travis Scott concert in Rome this summer? No, I didn't. Because I wasn't in Rome. Plus, I'm not a big fan of that music. I'm not gonna lie. I'm more of a... What music do I like? I don't like American rap. I mean, I do listen to it, but it's not my favorite. But yeah, the concert was great. I had a lot of friends who went to that concert. A lot of friends. Dybala, Tammy, and all of those lads went to the concert too. Um, yeah, it was organized really well, apparently. But I'm not a big fan of yeah, these artists. But yeah. Tiat to arrive, Lukaku helping out if Spina sold. I would love Tiat. He's fit, he knows the league, he knows Lukaku. I would love it. Right, lads, if you can hit the like, it would support the video and this channel a lot. So please do hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already. Maybe even for the possible Coppa Italia derby. Yeah, indeed. Why is Azmoun staying for those games? He never plays serious minutes. I think Azmoun is another player who is not getting a lot of minutes, but he's devoting a lot of attention to Roma. I think the fans also like Azmoun a lot. I can tell this because I go to stadiums every weekend. Every time Azmoun gets in, the stadium gets a massive standing ovation for him. So yeah, I think Azmoun has got Roma attached in his heart. He's one of those players which cares more than your average Renato Sanchez or Celik or Karsdorp. Yeah, he cares more than those players, and you can tell. Simon, if we win Atalanta, do you think we make top 4? It's very early, but if we win against Atalanta, I mean, we're there. Our chance is there. We just... I think we'll win against Atalanta. I think we are. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. We'll speak about that after the Atalanta game. You don't listen to 100 Gex? Jex? 100 Jex? I mean, would I be crazy to say that I've never heard of 100 Jex? Who the fuck are 100 Jex? I mean, I had to search it up, but they look like Camila and Rebecca Rosso, the Blondie twins. No, I've never heard of them. The music I like is The Weeknd. I know it's American rap, but it's not rap. It's good music. The Weeknd, Coldplay are good. Imagine Dragons aren't bad. I like that kind of music. Right, lads, I've enjoyed it tonight. Great show. If you haven't already, please do hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your thoughts and opinions on the topics that we discussed tonight. I will catch you tomorrow with a watch along for the Roma Cremonese game, and maybe for some transfer breaking news if there are going to be any breaking news. So yeah, for what's his name who asked the question before, Selena Yidi requests this. I'll catch you very, very soon. Hit the like, subscribe. Simo out.